Caribbean tech revolution. Okay, now we're talking. You sent this DX Alliance proposal over, and wow, talk about ambitious, right? This is like a whole digital makeover they're proposing for the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So are they for real? Let's dive in and find out.
It's interesting because they really seem to get it. It's not just about more tech, more gadgets. They're looking at the whole picture, the social stuff, the economic realities. That's what makes this really interesting.
And they don't shy away from the tough stuff either. I mean, right off the bat, they hit you with this stat. 90% of the top Caribbean tech startups are foreign owned.
That's kind of wild, right?
Yeah, and it makes you think, are we just going to see history repeat itself? We've seen this before.
Yeah.
Developing regions, they get left behind, or worse, they just become like colonies all over again, but this time it's digital. And I think that's the risk here. Yeah, trading one kind of dependency for another. And then on top of that, you've got this brain drain issue. They're talking about some islands losing like 10, even 40% of their workforce. It's huge. It's like trying to build a house on sand. You know what I mean? You're losing your foundation, your skilled people, the young folks. It's a huge loss of potential, for sure. Okay, so pretty bleak picture so far, right? But this is where the DX Alliance jumps in with their big idea. And they've got this two-part plan, which I find really interesting. So there's the DX Alliance itself, which seems like a network, maybe consultancy type thing. But then they've got this CODEX thing, which is all about education, building up local talent. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it. See, the DX Alliance, that's their bread and butter, right? It's about making connections, bringing in money, tapping into that global tech scene. But CODEX, that's where they're playing the long game. It's about building from within. So instead of just parachuting in Silicon Valley solutions, they're saying, hey, let's build stuff that actually works for the Caribbean. Let's make it fit for purpose.
Fit for purpose. Okay, I like the sound of that, but what does it actually mean in practice? Give me the nitty-gritty.
So think about it. What are the challenges that are unique to the Caribbean? Maybe it's about getting people who don't have reliable internet access into the digital economy. Or maybe it's about building e-government platforms that actually work for small island nations. That's what they're talking about.
So it's like building a homegrown tech sector that can compete globally, but is also super relevant locally. Ambitious, right? But can they actually pull it off?
That's the million-dollar question. And, there are definitely some hurdles they're going to have to overcome.
Well, starting with the fact that they're trying to raise a cool $10 million to get this thing off the ground. And they've got big plans for that money. They're talking about training hundreds of consultants, facilitating projects. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a bold move, no doubt. And for it to work, they're going to need a really solid plan to, actually make some money. Their proposal, they're saying they want 500 consultants, each pulling in about 100 grand a year. That's a lot of digital transformation.
500 consultants. Wow. Okay, now we're talking. But is that realistic? Who are these clients they're banking on? Are we talking governments, businesses, someone else entirely? And what about the competition? Because the consulting world, it's a tough racket.
You're asking all the right questions. To know if they can really do this, we need to dig into their assumptions. Who are they targeting? What's their unique selling point? Why should anyone pay them those rates? And how do they stand out in a crowded market?
Right, because vision is one thing, but can they actually deliver? And to figure that out, I think we need to look at the team they've put together. And let me tell you, it's an interesting mix. We're talking former tech CEOs, academics, people with experience connecting BIPOC talent to the tech world. It's something else.
Right. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They're bringing in people with all sorts of different backgrounds, perspectives, skills. That's smart.
Yeah, it's like they're building this dream team, right? People who can not only create these fit-for-purpose solutions, but who also really get the Caribbean, who understand how to navigate those waters and the global tech scene at the same time.
Exactly. And that's what they've done with their team, Like, look at Dennis Augustine, founded and scaled tech guilds. That's someone who knows what it takes to build something from the ground up.
And John West, CTO of Sitecore. That's a big deal, right? You need someone with that kind of serious tech experience if you're going to build anything, let alone these like bespoke Caribbean solutions.
Totally. But it's not just about the tech, right? You look at Ross Cadastre, and he's all about connecting BIPOC talent to tech. It's like they're taking that brain drain head on and saying, nope, we're going to keep our best and brightest right here.
Love that. And I got to say, one person who really stood out to me, Carlisle Roberts. Senior consultant for business transformation, decades of experience in the Caribbean. He seems like the one who can really make things happen.
Right. You need that local knowledge, someone who gets the culture, the politics, the whole 9 yards. Sounds like Carlisle's that guy.
The man with the plan.
Hmm.
But even with a killer team, it all comes down to this. What does success actually look like? I mean, they keep saying digital sovereignty, but what does that actually mean on the ground in real life?
And that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Because digital sovereignty, it's a great buzzword, but how do they actually make it happen? How do you measure that?
Yeah, because anyone can talk the talk,
Mm.
right? But where's the action plan? Like, for example, how are they going to deal with the digital divide within the Caribbean? Because it's not like everyone has equal access to tech or even digital literacy.
Totally. And that's something they have to address, because if it's just about nations controlling their digital destiny and not about people, everyday people, then have they really achieved anything? It's got to be about empowering individuals too.
Exactly. So what's the plan to make sure everyone benefits?
Yeah.
That this isn't just a digital revolution for the privileged few. And what about data security? Because if we're talking about building this whole new tech sector, what about protecting people's information? That seems important, right?
Absolutely. Building it is one thing, making sure it's secure, ethical, accessible to everyone, that's the real challenge. Which I guess leads to the big question, how will we know if they've succeeded?
Right. What are the benchmarks? What would convince you 5 years down the line that this whole DX Alliance thing is actually working?
That's the question, isn't it? For me, I'd want to see a thriving digital ecosystem in the Caribbean, one that's driven by local talent, local innovation.
So are we talking about like a whole new wave of Caribbean-owned tech companies, companies that are competing on a global scale?
Exactly. But it's
Yeah.
not just about, becoming the next Silicon Valley or whatever. It's about young people feeling like they can stay in the Caribbean, that they can have a future here, that there are opportunities here.
So turning that brain drain into like a brain game. I
Yeah.
like the sound of that. But let's be real, that's a huge shift. There are going to be bumps in the road, challenges, probably some missteps along the way.
Absolutely. And that's why we need you, the listeners. This isn't just some spectator sport.
Right, this is a call to action.
Exactly. Stay informed, ask the tough questions, hold their feet to the fire.
Love that. Because this whole thing, the future of the Caribbean's digital destiny, it's not a done deal, right? It's a story that's still being written.
And everybody has a role to play in how it unfolds. We've talked about the potential, the economic impact, the challenges of building that skilled workforce, that idea of digital sovereignty.
Right, but what does it actually mean for, like, the average person? If this whole DX Alliance thing actually works, will people even notice a difference in their lives?
See, that's the real test, right? You can have a beautiful plan on paper, but are things actually changing on the ground? Imagine a Caribbean where everyone's got access to high-speed internet, not just the wealthy, everyone. Where young people see a real future in tech, right here at home. Where local businesses can use these digital tools to compete on a global scale.
Creating opportunities, that's what it's all about, right? Opportunities that actually reach everyone. That's the promise of a truly inclusive digital revolution.
It's a huge undertaking. It's going to take all of us. Governments, businesses, educational institutions, individuals, everyone.
Yeah, I got to shift that mindset
Yeah.
from dependency to self-reliance, empowerment.
Exactly. And that brings us to our final thought. What role will you play in shaping the Caribbean's digital future?
Will you be on the sidelines or will you be in the game? The choice is yours. This has been an incredible deep dive, folks. Hopefully we've sparked some curiosity, maybe even a little bit of fire. Keep exploring these ideas, keep asking those tough questions, and most importantly, never stop learning. Until next time.